then when I say I would like a play that is in Shakespeare's style, but much more vulgar.
Right, yeah. Yeah. In brackets. And this uses the same, so AI models, generating those vectors use the same as mining crypto.
And I use Siri to set an alarm.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to say it.
Hi Alexa, play Metallica.
Guys, good evening. Welcome, episode 14 season 2. See, I will get that right one day.
We're doing all right this time, though.
Yeah, we can't. We have to learn to count again, right?
Yeah, we got the episode right. We're not sure about the season. But...
we haven't done that many seasons yet, bro. Guys, welcome back. We are cruising here, 2025. Another guest who you might have seen before. We'll introduce you very shortly. But Danny, the Business of the Podcast.
Yeah, welcome. It feels like I've not been here for weeks. It's actually been a couple of weeks.
Been a couple of weeks, yeah.
My socks were filled by...
well, we had Adler on last week.
Yeah, and Jorge. So, welcome back. As you know, Info Matters podcast is powered by Xtelligence, your one-stop shop for anything in if you want to get into the world of IT, or your gran or your dad or your dog, if your dog can actually program. And these days with AI, probably can.
I was going to say, yeah.
And we're going to cover off the fact your dog can program in C++, or WooF++, as it may be. Head over to Xtelligence.com, like and subscribe. As you know, we're always giving away merch. We're always trying to come up with the most interesting topic. Today's going to be a belter. We're going to cover off more in terms of environmental effects of IT and how it affects your life. So like and subscribe. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we're going to welcome back
Ward. Yes.
Hey, good to
this
be
guy,
back.
you're becoming a regular, but you'll be getting uniform and merch. Next.
I think what we'll do is
I'm waiting for the merch.
I think what we'll do is
as are we.
Well, so this is a first. You know, we were doing the not zero trust, because who trusts me? Bachelor's toils right now. I've not seen one of these before, and as we're getting on, it's a new year, 2025. Then we thought you could do with a magnetic pickup tool.
Do you know what? That's handy. You know,
very useful.
As you get older, not that we're all of a certain age, those becoming for whenever you drop the screw down the back of the couch, or the coin back, or in the car, all that kind of stuff. Also, while I remember, we must thank.
No, different show.
Okay, we'll just
totally different show.
Totally different show. We're not going to do it right now.
We will thank Boomy. We've got some merch, but we're going to have Boomy guests on.
Yes, of course.
And I think it's next week. Boomy's totally different. It's API gateways.
Surprise! If I jump the gun,
Yeah,
right,
indeed.
exactly.
So now Ward's always fascinated me. We've talked supercomputing. He's worked for the NSA. He's worked for the CIA. He's worked for Tom Hanks, not even Tom Hanks. Tom Cruise has played him in Mission Impossible.
Something like
that. So the topic is, so we all know at the moment the big things around ChatGPT and DeepSea and electric cars, and it's those kind of things that what's been bugging me getting into listening to a lot of other people's podcasts is people don't realise what it actually does. How is it
pull on resource?
Pull on resources. We were talking just before the show about, unfortunately the fires in California. And it's like we want to be a green city in 2030 and be only electric cars. They can't even power two of them because the grid doesn't power.
The infrastructure is not there, and there's been a couple of examples given, but Ward, of course, will fill us in.
So we're going to talk. So your views on DeepSeek. What is it? What's its difference between ChatGPT? Where does it get its information from? And then from there, we're going to talk how the fact we're all dead. And how we and how we power their shit, right?
So we'll start with ChatGPT, kind of the main AI tool at the moment. But there's infinite numbers of them. Everybody's writing them as quickly as they can. The main limiting factor is building the model that it runs on.
Right.
Yep. This requires dumping massive amounts of data. Trolling the entire internet, pulling it all in, and running it on tens of thousands of generally NVIDIA
GPUs, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
their per share price.
Yeah. So this is drawing gigawatts of energy to do this.
Uh-huh. And why? And again, we're going to go. Why GPU? Why a graphics card and not a CPU? Just so the audience out there know the difference between your PC runs at CPU speed.
That
but then
typically
you've got
dictates the speed, but
card.
the compute power is usually GPU based. Yeah.
Yeah. So the primary way AI works is doing these vector models.
Okay.
It roughly maps out to doing graphics.
Okay.
Calculations and
The calculations are kind
So
of
instead of
similar.
doing lines of code, it's building it
Yeah,
in
yeah.
dimensions.
it's
this
building
way.
probability models, and
so the thinking part of it is GPU based. The calculation parts.
for building the model. So
Okay.
if like I write a sentence, it's figuring out the probability that the next word is going to be what.
Literally as you type. I mean, I've seen.
No, with the
When you
so
run
the
the
model,
algorithm, yeah.
so the model brings in like Shakespeare,
Got it.
and
Actually, don't.
it builds a model of Shakespeare's writing style. So when I say,
I love that.
Hello, Yorick, you're a cunt.
I was going to say when you say do it in pirate style, it's pretty bang on, right? Yeah.
so then when I say I would like a play that is in Shakespeare's style but much more vulgar.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. In brackets,
Danny Bunyan.
So it'll take from Shakespeare's writing and figure out the next word should be Yorick,
Yeah.
but instead I'm going to use cunt.
Yeah. God, yeah.
So
yeah.
because
Got
you
it,
said
yeah.
vulgar.
Bang on. Yeah.
So it's figuring out the probability of the next word or the next content and subject of the next sentence. So
Right.
AI is a bit of a misnomer. It's really being a very good parrot and repeating what
Right.
it's been taught.
But when you apply that
requirement,
to you apply that to imagery, we were talking just before this.
yeah.
Yeah.
A friend got in touch, and I like to be quite autistic,
Yep.
and said, a friend started. He's 14-year-old wants to start a rock band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Design something. So I used ChatGPT or Bing, one of the AI
Yeah,
models.
yeah.
And
All AI based,
And literally,
yeah.
I just put, rock band, skulls, fire, hell, guitar.
Yeah.
And it went, boom, spelt the
There
name
you go.
wrong.
Yeah.
But visually, you're like, wow. And
Yes,
that's
80%
really
of the
good.
way there on what you
Very much so.
conceptually, right? I mean, yeah, and then we were talking a little bit about they won't give you the particular model of watch, all that kind of stuff, because they could be perceived as
it doesn't give you a full concept.
Yeah,
so you
right,
can't
yeah.
go
Yeah.
and take it because it's not been monetized.
Right,
Doing
okay,
it, I imagine.
exactly.
But
yeah.
So that kind of go back to the reinforcing. It's not really AI. It's being a very good parrot because they're
Right.
figuring the probability. It's a probability engine.
I see.
So it's trying to figure out what it thinks we want to hear next.
But
Based off
does that
all
not mean
human knowledge?
Does that not mean that you need to? I mean, I'm thinking the kind of stages of getting the output from the AI is usually prompt based. So when you
Yeah.
think about the next word,
well, you give it its keywords.
You're
don't you,
giving.
what you
I mean,
want.
it's basically keyword.
Yeah.
I mean, people say they're now using AI instead of a search engine, which is a bit more conversational.
Yeah.
And then the prompt, it's working out what you will next say, and then using whatever resource. So at what point do you start consuming the earth? Is it at the prompt?
That's
on,
good.
on the power,
I was going to say.
yeah, at the power level right away.
Our fourth guest this evening is.
Well, first let's continue on that thread. I'm interested in that. Carry on.
Yeah. So to build these models, you have to pump all this data in, and you have to build these vector tables.
Okay.
Right.
And this becomes massively power consumption. So
Right.
it's just drawing it. I mean, you put 10,000, 100,000 of these. They're spending billions of dollars just on the electrical bill.
And that's for cooling or for power itself to
Power those
because a GPU card takes
GPUs. 200 watts.
Yeah.
Times 10,000 or 100,000.
Yeah.
So they're scaling these things up as big as possible.
And this uses the same, so AI models generating those vectors use the same as mining crypto for those out there. Because they use GPUs
different mathematical algorithm,
but
same
similar
hardware.
similar
Power.
Okay. So the GPUs,
Yeah, because the GPU is itself a ton of tiny little processors that are, compared to a normal CPU, very stupid and very slow, but they have these vector models.
I see.
Clever sand.
Clever
chips.
Sam. Yeah.
You said that for years. Yeah.
So that's kind of the background of why it's starting to become a problem, because the consumption of electricity is huge.
Yeah.
And the cooling obviously is also a major problem, but the electricity consumption is.
And that's now we
limited.
now have water cooling, and we have data center concepts of being submerged in the sea. I mean, I don't quite know.
Just stick the buggers in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Right.
Deep sea.
But they do that because cooling's on hand. But then you've got the logistical problem of power. And friends of ours historically have said, well, can you mine crypto from a Tesla? I mean, I think it's a double whammy. You charge the Tesla, and then of course you end up halfway down the street.
you can easily mine crypto from your phone. It's just slow.
It's just
Yeah.
right, or the other way of pounding it is from solar, so that you're not taking the grid financial hit when you mine.
You're just banking on the sun burning down on the roof of your house.
Well, exactly. So if you're geographically fortunate, California, that kind of stuff, Glasgow, probably not.
California, that was a bit of a...
right? Then you're probably not going to... The $2 a day, you're not going. It's going to take you however many years to get back the investment in the hardware. So at scale, when we see all these big companies investing behind what our listeners might be or might not know is that behind the scenes there's massive upfront investment. In this sort of stuff.
The infrastructure costs are immense.
I imagine.
Obviously, buying 10,000 to 100,000 GPUs is a tall order, and you have to talk very nice to NVIDIA because they're by far the leader in this point. So after that, for the power, you have to put your data center close to a power generation site.
Right.
And the new thing is
the hunt for Red October. I don't know what's coming.
about to say, where do we put it? Plug it in.
Yeah. So they've actually gotten to the point where the big companies are literally shopping for nuclear reactors. They're trying to buy
what
them.
now?
They want to buy nuclear reactors and plug their data centers directly into nuclear reactors.
So it makes sense harnessing nuclear power. I mean, it literally.
I mean, I don't imagine you.
It's the
ring up and go, "Can I plug in?" What? Really?
They buy it themselves. They will own it.
Yeah,
as in a D, like one on D that's being decommissioned.
You go past on the D1 soon. There'll be an Amazon warehouse with a nuclear sub on top of it.
Right, I imagine.
See, these reactors are slightly different because they'll scale them down a little bit. They don't need a city-sized reactor.
Yeah.
But they do need quite a big one, and they need dedicated, steady power.
Right.
Because it's still fuel rods and still the same concept.
Still, I mean,
and we have a problem with most countries have a problem with their new grid is they're adding so much renewables.
Yeah.
Renewables are not steady power. The sun doesn't always shine.
And the wind doesn't always blow at the same speed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And that creates variance. And these data centers building these models need steady power.
Course,
Don't vary 1% of power.
Yeah.
So the only option they have is nuclear. That's
Yeah.
it. You can't use solar cells because you have to turn your data.
We
center
were kind
off
of saying
at
this before. Nuclear's dangerous. Everything's dangerous.
Yeah.
No, of course.
But if you harness it correctly, if it goes boom, we've seen it go boom in Chernobyl. It's
Yeah.
not good.
Right.
But when you consider, and we mentioned this before, and it's just because this is just for the audience and for us, is when you consider the nuclear warfare, nuclear warheads.
Yeah.
It only takes a couple. The planet's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Russia's got a couple of thousand. China's got 5,000. The States have got.
Whatever.
But no one thinks about that every day.
No,
do
of
they?
course, right?
If someone goes and lets themselves in and trumps and boom, I know it's a bit like that volatile.
No, of course.
But it's there already. It's just the idea of nuclear power to enhance something is your brain just
and
goes,
the world's
a bit frightening.
and the world's
it's a bit like
it's a bit
do we
frightening.
really want a company to directly own it?
Right, and the world's
exactly.
obsessed with the reduction in nuclear power use, but actually it's the cleanest and dare we say safest, with bar the odd exception.
Well, there's only been one global fallout that everybody really knows about.
Exactly. So do we have a surplus of nuclear power plants that can be drawn upon or acquired?
Because their needs are for a smaller nuclear reactor, and there's been advancements in the field, the smaller ones are generally safer. I mean,
and time's moved on, of course, and engineering's got.
I mean, if you look at the nuclear subs, there have been a few disasters, but those are research reactors generally. They weren't, there weren't 50 of them.
Yeah.
This is a unique reactor. We had a design flaw, and the thing
blew up.
And it
can literally just go.
Then I'm sorry, Harry, you lost your head, but whoever Harry is.
If you're Harry, like and subscribe.
Harry Hardhat lost. Yeah, lost his bollocks.
Harry
so they're actually designing these nuclear reactors smaller and safer.
Okay, makes sense. Okay,
and there actually is one of these actually already out there being used.
Anywhere local?
Luckily
secret bunker.
Just have a look near, what was it? Have a look near the White House where you got that heat map. Supercomputing.
I don't know anything about that one.
On the White House lawn.
Supercomputing, quantum is different, totally different.
Yeah.
But you need that level of energy. So
yeah.
I mean, I just have vision. I mean, I imagine the brands that we're thinking of, without mentioning any names, have the buying power and the desire and the influence to go and. I mean, I just have somebody saying, I'll take a 4-gang plug and run up the street and plug it in. I mean, probably not that, right? I know it's in decom, but if we pay you for it, can we turn it up to 11 again?
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking of? I mean, they're not building these things up.
Yeah, they're building them.
They're building them. I mean, the example.
Greta Thunberg's going to fucking be pissed.
There's actually a production
Greta
reactor.
Thunberg.
There's actually a production reactor that they're kind of following. Russia
Right.
built a small nuclear reactor and put it on a barge. They float it.
Right.
And they took it to the northern edge of Siberia, and they power small cities with it because it's cheaper than building it
Establishing
on
the-
land.
yeah.
Because they can build it close to home, power it up, drag it there into the ice,
see.
and run it there.
So it sits on a.
Well, the thing is, fossil fuels they've got a shelf life. The way we keep digging. So
You think coal, you're going through tons of coal a day.
Yep.
Try to get that into the middle of
I mean, that's
Siberia.
not
go
logistical, mate.
electric because
Right.
you don't use fossil fuels when you're making electric car batteries.
No. Well,
This is for a different day.
Yeah, different topic.
Yeah, but we did go through the consumption of getting a car battery out of the ground and all that kind of stuff. But anyway,
And I suppose that would reduce the carbon footprint, which is important on the planet with a nuclear. Because nuclear is clean. It's clean power, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Unless you do that on a fuel rod.
it's actually
You're right.
considered
Don't lick it.
renewable fuel.
Renewable fuel.
I mean, and so the days of dirty, wrong choice of words. The days of risky nuclear fuel are somewhat reduced. Or, well, I'm asking, by the way, and have we reached a stage where people can be more relaxed about it? I mean, or is it just a plain necessity?
I mean, if you have one of these smaller reactors, they're going to be 10 times safer.
Okay,
But then you can buy 10 of them, and then it's the same risk.
So, just in 10 places. Yeah. Instead of like, we're not going there
Distributed
for,
risk.
we're not going there for 1,000 years, you're buggered.
yeah. They're not in the same field, but they're
So go on.
close.
So in harnessing nuclear, but to what point? I mean, for us as a consumer, as a normal person on television, you say, "Oh, Gemini's on your Samsung and Billy Bob Thornton's on your other phone."
Yeah.
AI, people are harnessing it to do little work jobs, this and that. But what's the big picture? What's the big picture of AI?
Yeah.
So
Why is it going to take over? Brian Cox.
because we believe the marketing guys.
Well, this is it. This is
Well,
it.
we did say when we came in that I'd watched the Dead Reckoning the other night, and it was all bad news and sentient and Skynet and all this kind of shit. And but in actual fact, we have better control on this. Or are we just not there yet?
The question is why?
Yeah.
Why? We didn't have it 30 years ago.
Current AI is 99% mimicry. So it's figuring out the probability of the next word. There are some algorithms that add some creative, some variance to that, but none of this is sentience.
Right. Okay.
Not even close. Not even on the scale. And single ant has more sentience than our AI models do because it's all probabilistic. So it's not even close. It can do some amazing things. You've seen it generate pictures.
Yes,
But it requires the human.
If you're an artist, I feel sorry for you. It's very good at art.
I mean, you can write an album, all of your songs, everything. I could probably do it in about an hour.
program the website, all that. So but your point is, correct me if I'm wrong, is this is all
Why?
Danny driven, Kenny driven,
It's all prompt
Ward driven. It's all prompt driven. It's not. It has no self awareness. There's nothing there that. Okay.
Correct. Without any prompts, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
It just
What's
consuming
it
power.
doing in its spare time?
Nothing.
It's constantly learning.
It's learn.
If you feed more information, it gets
Right.
better.
Or does it feed itself? Will it go and take the information, or do you have to prompt it?
You have to feed it.
You're feeding it. Okay.
Yeah. So
You
in the
greedy bastard.
but in the background, it's new websites and new information. It consumes. I imagine it visits 8 bazillion websites.
But does it without you pointing it to?
Well, but you'd imagine to, so that when you do point to it, it does know.
You have the old school web spiders that Google used to find data. That's feeding it.
Right.
But
So if you stopped, and would it just sit there?
just sit there.
Would it really?
Yeah.
Ah.
I mean,
Because they basically have screen scraped the entire internet.
Yeah, but it's what's as well.
No, of course.
Yeah, it's being prompted. It's being fed. Go and get that. Go and get that. But if you go, I can't be asked anymore.
Yeah.
It's done. That's interesting.
Because with DeepSeek, I installed it a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I grabbed an image, the model pre-calibrated it, brought it onto my server, turned it on, and it woke up.
Yeah.
If I didn't talk to it, it just sits there. Doesn't do
Just
anything.
idle. Doesn't prompt you for
No,
anything.
It doesn't think. It doesn't
So
use
how is
any
it?
resources.
So it's on my phones and your phones and your phone.
Yeah.
With Siri, I suppose Siri's 8.
Yeah.
isn't
Well,
it?
it's not the Apple
if-
Intelligence, isn't it?
How is it get with your Gen X? No, we're Gen X, aren't we? Or your Gen Z, whatever.
Gen
they
Z,
are.
yeah.
I mean, I know they're using it for, plagiarism or getting through college.
Yeah.
Study aids.
But if it's in my pocket, I mean, I used it to generate questions for this show for us.
Yeah.
I know that we don't need them because we just go off on a tangent and we're
Yeah,
generally
yeah.
interested.
Yeah, right.
We're way far from those.
Well,
now.
we don't need that.
Yeah, yeah.
We were born when you used to set fire to stuff in the back of your dad's house.
Absolutely.
But it's not prompting you to do anything. So what's the advantage of it? What's the marketing side of it for the average person? Why AI this, AI that? Galaxy's got Jerusalem.
There's a few areas it's turned out to be very good. Drawing pictures with a small number of prompts, you can get a very beautiful picture. You can do music as well.
Yep.
That's why I say it's bad to be an artist right now, because it's very good at this stuff.
It is very good.
Yeah. Developing, like code developing, that sort of stuff.
There's an application. Just go to it. You put your genre. You put in the theme, and it pops.
But for code developing, it's different.
Yeah.
If you think a non-coder can be precise enough on his prompts to get AI to write a program, not going to happen.
Okay.
Not going to happen.
Right.
The quality of the code is horrible.
Right.
Absolutely terrible.
But why though? Because as you said, you feed it as a prompt. Why is it not going, finding it, and learning it?
Because it's taking these large chunks and these large patterns and connecting them together. But programming is very fine connections.
Yes.
It's not these coarse connections that the AI can do.
Right.
So, for example, if I want to connect to a database, 1 or 2 lines of code, I can connect to a database. It's chucking in 200 lines of code just to connect to a database. And
so code efficiency is probably not there because it's
Horrible.
joining multiple snippets.
It's trying to match
so,
all of that.
So nobody, no developer worth their salt is going to. I mean, you'd come unstuck really quickly, right? But for the odd script, it's probably going to suffice.
For if you define between scripters and coders,
which I'm a scripter. Yeah, I'm definitely
coding is much more complex.
Yeah.
And intricate. Scripting is much more coarse grained.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it's a
need
big hammer,
one
you're just
output.
smashing
I don't.
things.
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't need.
You use scripts when something doesn't work. Right. Write a script. Right. Break it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's going to start digging in there, and its biggest advantage is if you get a fairly junior coder, you give him AI, he becomes a poor coder.
Yeah.
No longer a
so
junior.
It's quite counter.
So it brings up the bottom level. The experts still, for the most part, I hardly ever use AI because I just don't need it.
Interesting.
I still do the old thing of going to the forums and I find the other experts who give me the one line of code I'm looking for.
Yeah. So
I ask AI, I'm getting.
Sure.
It's going to take me 20 minutes to read this for the one line I need.
That's the challenge. So we did questions for this, but we know we don't really use
it.
I mean, it's just actually there's an AI picture of me here. But when you do, so I did I did a recommendation for a colleague. Loving to bits, and I thought let's try it. And for that, apart from the fact you'd have to change the prepositions he, him, they, or the nouns in it, or they, him, what have you, it was good. Yeah. But that's just doing a paragraph of which I could have written myself probably in the same amount of time that I had to go in and fill the blanks or remove the.
So it's kind of code snippets and work snippets. So there is a productivity gain, but nobody's. I mean, but back to this point, who's getting replaced?
Analytics, maybe.
Again, it helps the junior beginners to actually become competent, and actually produce something.
Yeah.
It's poor quality, but most code is poor quality anyway, because we're just writing it quick because it doesn't have to be good because we got huge CPUs. Why does it need to be efficient?
Right.
So that is
You're going to get owned by some developers. Going to go, what?
Yeah, but the more advanced you get, the more critical it becomes.
I see.
You do not want the controls, the control software for an airplane to be written by AI.
No.
It's going to be buggy as all hell.
Yeah, and I'm not flying that plane.
And isn't that a fear? Is that, it says that it just keeps growing. So that's it, it's just growing and growing. We can't stop it. But if you don't feed it, it stops.
Right, so it doesn't learn.
Can it not find its own way to feed itself?
And it's, there are other issues with it. We have indications that we're probably getting towards the scaling limits of the current methodology. So
interesting. Okay.
It can't, we'll double the resources and it'll get 10% better. We'll double them again.
That's the project management equivalent
it's going to plateau.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the math just is run out.
It's run out.
So you're a resource. I do like that. That's the project management equivalent of trying to make a baby in a month with 9 men.
Yeah,
just throwing resource at it. Right.
Yeah.
So
We're willing to give it a try.
Yeah, well,
and then when
throw everything at it.
When she walks out the door, slag.
There is no way the baby's coming fast or things of a natural. So that kind of makes sense, and in all the PR and all the fear mongering and all that kind of bullshit. At the back of my head, I was kind of thinking, we're not there yet. We don't need to start unplugging.
Same as the speed of light. You get to a certain point, and
you can't go any faster.
It's done.
You're done.
Terminal velocity. Yeah.
It's just to what point does the human race throw everything at it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For what benefit?
Yeah.
Right.
And as you said, the majority is your car's got AI, your phone's got AI, your toilet paper's got AI because the consumer wants it but doesn't know how to use it.
No, of course.
And then 10 years down the line, when there's a big hole in the middle of the planet full of toilet paper and we're all dead,
right?
We didn't really need that.
Right, exactly.
Same as electric cars.
It's the same as the IoT. Why does your fridge need to be on the internet? Why have you got? It doesn't.
Actually, our producer watches.
No, I know he watches us on the fridge.
It's like magnetic pickup tool now with AI.
It knows where to pick up before you do. Right. So yeah, we things got.
It's a gimmick to the majority.
Things got a little bit silly.
Yeah.
There are things on the internet that don't need to be on the internet, and they put them on the internet for reasons that escape me. I don't know why. Yeah. And there's a little bit of AIing everything right now because it's cool, trendy, and hot topic. No.
So are electric cars until you realise that A, they're not supported, and B, they haven't got a lifestyle, a life cycle, because when the battery blows up and your city can't power it, you can't afford your electricity bills, and you realise that all fossil fuel
infrastructure that has to be built around that to support it.
Right.
Same as with AI, isn't it? We're going to build nuclear power the infrastructure to a point of we've hit that brick wall.
Danny was telling me the other week that if you want airbags on your Volkswagen, whatever it might be, yeah, sure, $5 a month, right? If you want warm seats, the functionality is there, but it's plugged into the cloud and all this shit. And that's just that's taking advantage of somebody buying a Ford Focus from Volkswagen. You get the point, right? Yeah. But just trying to get more money out of the. I mean, stupid.
They're charging you for features that the
already
car
exist.
Already has.
Right. Yeah.
You're intentionally disabling something.
Absolutely. Yeah. That they should be rewarded for that. Absolutely fleecing the consumer. Because
I was reading that Samsung's new phones have AI, and next year they're going to charge you for it.
Yeah.
But they won't tell you how much. So why the hell would I buy a Samsung this year?
Well, that's the problem. Now you're going to need to monetize something that you don't use.
Because they have to recoup these costs. Right?
I've never used Siri. I've got lots of Alexa in the house, and I use it for put the timer on, do this, play Dua Lipa, like Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
I think it's cool, but on my telephone, I've still got fingers.
Yeah.
And I'm still used to doing it.
How fast do you need
now
it?
You're going to charge me, because the new iPhone will have it, and you'll have to scale it, pay it as part of your tariff for your iCloud storage.
Or it'll be built into the hardware because there's new hardware on the phone.
At what point do you not? Do you opt out of it?
Yeah, it's kind of like Hey Google when it first came out. Shut up, phone.
But you know that everyone that's listening is going, yes.
A couple years ago, we were all using it.
Yeah.
Are we using it this year?
No.
Not really.
No.
I mean, now it has Gemini and AI behind it, and it has more capability, and you
use it less.
Yeah, it's like, what is the GDP of Argentina? And it can give me that quickly.
Sure.
It's
and
better than
I use Siri to set an alarm.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to say,
hi Alexa, play Metallica.
Ta-da!
But yeah, there's certain little things about it, but when it comes to the point, it's become a fad. It's become
yes, I think so.
It's and it's plagiaristic if you're in college.
Yeah. Oh man!
But again, it's just, I know it is, but it's come to a point where it's a gimmick. Electric cars were a gimmick. Fossil fuels build electric car. Yeah. Everything's a gimmick, but marketing is the reason.
There's more. We've always said there's more.
Meat there. There is a place for electric cars.
Yeah,
but not all of.
Yeah, on the golf course.
Yeah. There's a place for AI, but not everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this does not need AI.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's data analytics, automating things that use robots. Totally get that.
Like repeatable tasks when you can train.
I guess it will get rid of jobs, but
do you know what I do?
Do you
know what I do like?
Yeah.
I love the idea of going to. Danny in project management, you invariably end up in a reporting cycle, weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it might be.
Do my reporting with pleasure.
And you could train from the first prompt to the second to the third. They didn't like that. Make it pink, make it bigger, make it smaller. To train that, and then just have AI connected to a data source, I imagine, and then just do that. That's a massive gain to me. But that's process automation. We've had that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where I'm seeing AI has advantage of improving my work.
Yes.
So I'm doing 90% of it, but it's correcting all the spelling errors and also the sentence structures, and it's going, this graph should be
and removing all the fuck off people type comments.
But it's not taking over the job. There's very few areas where it can really take over the job.
Yeah. Well, it's got no emotion and no human intelligence, has it? So
and it has limited range.
It's a parrot. Said, it's a parrot that doesn't know our language properly yet.
I said what I like that. No, it basically it's a hallucinating parrot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because hallucinations was a term adopted to when it flips one and goes down.
The hallucinations are a big problem. Because
stop feeding it LSD.
Because it's not actually sentient and it doesn't actually know the data. It's actually calculating the probability that this is what you want. It hallucinates.
Yeah.
It lies.
We mentioned that.
It just makes up lies because
it's on the internet.
It's what I want. I want the lie. I want someone to prove I'm right. So it'll make up a lie, give me the evidence, and it's false.
And we have to be really mindful of relying on this new productivity gain and this new time gain and this new automation. Whatever the gains are, it can be factually and legally incorrect, and there are liability attributed to that. I was just going to say very briefly that the big five, one of which Deloitte or whoever it might be, not going to mention them, are now using this to prepare documents. God forbid they tied some client into some horrific wrongdoing. Yeah,
because if it makes a mistake and it hallucinates, they're responsible.
Right.
You can't say, it's the AI's fault.
No.
Any judge in the world is going to
throw that straight out the back door, right?
Because this happens in the U.S. They used an AI to write lawyers used it to write a brief.
Yep.
And in the brief, they quote it past court cases.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't exist. It made it up.
I knew. Because I do remember that.
It challenges legal frameworks by making them up.
Yeah.
To the point that they had people sat in the court, the judges, and
it sounds good.
It sounds good.
It sounds good,
but it's actually bollocks.
There were other cases very similar to what it made up.
Yeah.
But it made up a case. So,
but surely, you'd think
Kenny stole a rabbit, 50 years in prison,
right? Dear Lord, with the rabbit. You'd think for it to make it up, that case must have existed somewhere. If you think
similar cases, multiple similar cases,
and that's where the hallucination comes in, because confusion, so to speak, comes in.
Yeah, because it's seen 5 cases exactly like this, but the case it made up has a slight difference. The names are different. And that's what law is about, that nuance.
Yeah.
There's a slight difference. It's
actually, do you know what I've seen this?
So it doesn't learn behaviourally based on the context of the case. It's building it based on examples of cases.
Yeah. And I've noticed that quite recently when my iPhone attempts to summarize multiple BBC notifications, and you read the summary, and you're like, Danny fell off the Taj Mahal sink or something like that, and you go, Danny wants to know if you want to go for a beer. What the fuck? And
that's false.
But that's Apple Intelligence doing that, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, there will be people, I'm not going to say any mother, who will look at this and my mum, with respect, I love you, Mum. She'll say it was on the internet, it must be true, and I always go, fuck no. No, that's not the case. And if this mass model is consuming that, God forbid it takes 3 of the 5 sources and comes up with some shit.
But that's a generational gap.
No,
as well,
it is.
Yeah. We're exposed to so much information. When we were all at university or studying, it was pen and paper.
Yeah.
We remember dial-up modems. We remember cassette discs. Yeah. We remember all of that stuff. This generation now is very much it's the digital age of boom, you've got the internet, you've got all your hands on all this information. But we've seen it go from 0 to hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a worrying aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of wrong data now.
Yeah.
So
data's never correct.
Probably more shit data than there is good.
Oh yeah.
Well, TikTok, just bin it.
Yeah.
No, I think so. You see people doing some stupid shit. Principally around kids. And we spoke with Joel on when he has to limit access to the internet because the kids would lose their minds consuming, because it's just never ending.
And now that we have AI's hallucinating, it's creating more junk data at a much faster rate.
And I was going to say that's kind of almost exponential
Yep.
Because there's so much shit data to work
At
with.
the moment, we're on that exponential curve. It will reach a limit. There's a threshold up there somewhere.
Before we
but we
unplug
don't
it.
know when it is.
That's the worry.
Yeah.
AI-driven cars.
Yeah.
Turn left. Fuck!
Right.
Straight through the grocery store.
Yeah.
What you don't know, because it's
Right.
AI's AI is learning, or it's being fed so quickly. It learns on the fly.
Yeah.
So I've got a self-drive powered car. It's connected via Wi-Fi to servers out there, be it the car company, Google, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
AI in the background is feeding itself. Turn left, dead. You don't know.
But you wouldn't put.
So at what point it overrides itself.
It's the mechanical equivalent of putting vinegar in your car. You'd fuck it up, right? You're feeding it the wrong thing. It can only have a negative effect.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more static than that. Because like ChatGPT 3 and 4,
Easy for
those
him
are,
to say.
they built a model. It has some additional learning that it can do, but it's basically static at that point. So they had to do 4.
Yeah.
And that's basically static at that point. It knows the context. So if we're talking about past U.S. presidents, it knows the focus in that area.
Sure.
So it's not really
Because
learning.
it's
just
consumed data up to a certain point.
Yeah.
Do you think, Ward, that we've gone a little bit AI-tastic insofar as people are developing AIs for things that just because it's topical or they can? Or
Let's skip back to there was ChatGPT 3.
Yeah.
ChatGPT 4.
Yeah.
This DeepSea has basically scoured all of their information to become stolen it to become DeepSea. So where is it now getting its information? How do you go from being that tool, DeepSea being better? How is it better if it's using the same information as its predecessor? Or competitor?
From what I can tell, if you take ChatGPT 4 and compare it to DeepSeek R1, which is the latest version of DeepSeek, ChatGPT is probably better. The secret sauce of DeepSeek R1 is it took something like 1/10 the processor power to create that model.
Right.
Much more efficient.
So much more efficient, more affordable to run.
Yep. I downloaded it, put it on a tiny little server, and it had no problems.
So is that the focus now, is to come out with something that, it's open source. There you go. Elon Musk gave all of his ideas away. So now it's going to be who can get a model that is cheaper to run, or
but that's
more economical
that's
to run?
only good for the owners. What for the consumers? Is it any better at doing its thing? Is it spit out less shit, hallucinations?
I get you. Very good point.
Less hangovers.
Do I give a shit if they're paying for that?
If Elon Musk is spunking money on all this, and all of a sudden he's got something that's a 10th the price, woo for Elon.
What's the benefit to us?
So you and I, are we getting better results, more shit? What?
Yeah. So the benefit of DeepSeek is to use ChatGPT, you have to use their servers. It takes so much power. You need a data center. You need dozens of machines going full out just to run the dumb thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
DeepSeek, I put it on my server. It's entirely
it's
contained
open
on my
source.
server. It's not talking to the outside world. I checked the network. It's completely quiet. It's on my server.
Does it ever talk to the world, or does it go, hey,
Anti-social
Beijing, here's
bastard.
Right, yeah, right.
So that's actually not a feature of the AI. It will stay comfortably on an isolated environment.
Right.
Okay.
The trouble is, all the other guys haven't been open source. They force you to use the cloud.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of politics about, the Chinese are watching you and stuff. Not on my version.
Right.
Because I'm there. I've checked all the data connections it had, and it's not calling out to anybody.
So it does the same as ChatGPT, effectively.
Fully containerized.
It's cheaper to run for the provider.
Yeah, you can run it. You can run it at home.
But again,
isolated.
to me, I mean, I use ChatGPT for this.
Yeah.
And I know that DeepSeek's there, but I had a look at DeepSeek, on a web browser, and it looks the same.
Yep.
It's a window. You type in your parrot effect. So where's the benefit? What's the benefit of an end user? It's like me to use it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And if you're using it on the web, it has all the problems of spying and everything else.
Yeah.
Because ChatGPT is spying on you. It's using all your data.
Telephone in your pocket spying.
DeepSeek is doing the exact same.
Yeah.
The only difference is
It's screen scrape to screen scrape. Almost.
OpenAI in the U.S. who's grabbing all this data and selling it to marketers, and DeepSeek who is forwarding the data to the Chinese government.
So again, 99.9% of the populace and Kentucky Fried Bob's fart simulating machine. It makes no. So it went boom. DeepSeek's just come out. It's open source. Most people don't know what open source is. They think it's ketchup on the wiener.
Right. But that's basically
so it's
shareable code. But look what it did to NVIDIA. It wiped 100 million, no billion,
Billion,
50 billion,
probably.
no 10 billion off their share price.
Yeah. I mean, that's simple. I mean, if you leave,
Have they recovered? I don't.
I think they're up again.
Are they?
But,
Okay.
but if you need 1/10 the hardware,
Yeah,
But of course, direct impact on the
Why?
hardware
I'll
suppliers.
take
Total tangent. COVID.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why did COVID basically? So cars weren't being manufactured because there weren't GPUs and chipsets available.
There were a lot of chipset problem. Chip
Was
problem.
it chipset wasn't
Yeah.
GPU, but that was chip. Yeah,
I mean,
GPUs
I
as
had a
well.
chip problem. We ran out of glue.
So that means that respirators had GPUs in them. Why was there a shortage of GPUs?
Because
during
logistic,
COVID?
we matched.
that's easy.
Go on.
So
Just totally random tangent.
yeah,
there.
so to develop a chip, you have to build it in these clean rooms.
Yeah.
It takes
Glue factory.
well over a month for one chip to go through the line,
Right.
Right.
and to
And
make
why is
that
Why is that? Go on.
because they're made up of multiple layers.
yeah.
And using the lithography, you create an image, you burn the resin. I know a little bit about this, but not.
So when
I'm
I say
far
that,
from an
convinced-
expert.
we've convinced that lot.
No.
Yeah.
To be fair, I said run out of glue, but I wasn't far wrong.
Not far wrong.
Clever glue.
I think it's an enamel they put over it. And
No,
then
yeah,
they use a laser.
and they have to be hyper clean because you're dealing with
Yeah,
such
yeah.
a
But
nano.
it
So
takes,
it's because of
My-
people sneezing
Yeah.
that they couldn't do it.
Yeah, and right, so, and of
but
course,
just the raw manufacturing time is over a month.
Right.
And
when
you
everyone's
have
in the
all
office,
these rare resources you have to pull in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the silicon seeds. The material
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
build
the
the
raw
chip
material,
on.
yeah.
They're these big ingots that you
Yeah.
have to manufacture, and they're really hard to manufacture, and you have to order them way ahead of time. So what COVID did is it disrupted that chain.
The supply chain.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have 50 steps in that chain,
Sure,
and
sure.
they're all out of sync now.
Gotcha. It wasn't that there was any process somewhere utilising GPUs at the time.
No,
Snotty,
it's just-
snotty
No, it's not-
trumpets.
yeah, right. So exactly. So it kind of knackered it, like
It's like
everything
BMW
else.
waiting list, 200 years. Why?
absolutely.
Yeah, because the glue gun's fucked.
Right.
We ordered the fasteners just yesterday, and they take 6 weeks to arrive.
Absolutely.
So
We're kind of at that point in the podcast. We could talk
But it
about this.
shouldn't. This should be a 10-hour show.
It should be a 10-hour show. We
I'm
should have
putting
people
my foot down. If you
like
listen to us for 10
popcorn
hours,
and all
I-
sorts.
I would
Exactly.
say, yeah, it's got a popcorn machine.
Popcorn, exactly. So,
Yeah.
listen, more before we, as we wrap this up. I mean, I came in thinking that we're all fucked and that we should unplug in this shit. It's
Yeah.
good to hear that we're not there yet.
yeah,
That we're only as good as what we feed this.
And we've
animal.
established that our jobs are safe because we don't use it. It's more
Yeah.
automation.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that nuclear power is going to be everywhere.
And that
Yep.
and that Greta Thunberg's going to be pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, snack it
right.
Greta.
I don't know what he said. If that makes sense,
I
let
don't
us
speak
know.
Norwegian. In
No,
Norwegian.
right. Is he not Swedish?
But I'm guessing
is
what you
Swedish.
said
Yes,
is pretty vile.
Nordic, exactly. So before we upset any more of our consumers and visitors,
You know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what to do. Like and subscribe. Info Matters podcast, sponsored, powered, everything powered. Nuclear
Yeah,
power.
AI power
Nuclear
possibly by
power.
next
AI
week.
power maybe
Exactly.
by Xtelligence. Head over to the channel.
Yes, exactly.
If you're looking, basically just looking at any career perspectives, or if you want to get in touch with questions, come on the show. You want to dial
Absolutely.
in, you want to win some shit merch, or you want a magnetic.
Or you want a
pickup tool.
magnetic pickup
You've never
tool.
seen one until this show.
Exactly.
And it's thanks again for coming on board.
Absolutely.
I love
fun.
it.
Well,
We should,
there's loads of stories to come, and I'm sure.
Yeah.
But for now, from me, it's goodbye, and from him, it's
goodbye.
see you next
Take
time.
care. Bye bye.
Okay.